was there any sort of apology after that from Spicejet? Huh?
No chance at all, ma'am. There is nothing. They are not even cheering us. You are asking to send apologies. You are expecting apologies. They are not even cheering us.
Okay.
So we waited like 2 hours over there.
Okay, Shrikant, I'm going to leave it there.
Okay.
I will leave it there. You have explained to us what happened, and I'm grateful to you for sharing your harrowing experience with Spicejet on board that flight, whose cabin was filled by smoke. A later explanation has come that one of the engines, engine A or engine 1, there was an oil leak that somehow mixed with the cabin air, and that is why it was filled with smoke. That is the explanation that has come. But you've had a harrowing experience. I thank you for coming to Mirror Now and sharing that with us. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce my guest to you this evening. Parvez Damania is an aviation expert. He is joining us. Dilip Cherian is founder of Perfect Relations. He's with us. And Ajay Avantane is an editor, livefromalounge.com, someone who understands passenger experiences. He's joining us as well. Parvez Damania, I'm coming to you first. You have just heard from Shrikant M. He has detailed to us what has happened inside that Spicejet flight. Is there anything in defense of Spicejet that can be said right now? There have been 13 such cases.
No.
But look at what happens after those technical errors happen. It is not just that one technical error, it's the passenger experience of what happens after that.
No, there is nothing that we can say in defense of Spicejet. What has happened is completely wrong. These people are taking the consumer for granted. What Priyanka ji said was absolutely correct, but I have to disagree on one small point. I don't think DGC has any reason to deliberately protect Spicejet. They may be understaffed, overworked, but I don't think they will go out of the way to cover anything wrong that is happening in the aviation sector. Our DGC is very strong, very powerful, doing good job. But you see, DGCA cannot be everywhere at every airport, at every flight. There is a QC department in the airline, a quality control department that reports directly to the chairman or the MD, which should take care of all this. Again, what I fear is what is happening when some of these airlines are cash-strapped or very tight for money. They might start cutting costs. And the risk is they might start cutting costs sometime in the areas of engineering and safety. That is where the problem starts. So what happens is if these airlines are not adequately funded, they do not have enough working capital, these kind of problems can keep occurring, which is very, very risky. So first and foremost, these airlines should be very well capitalized.
But Mr. Damania,
they should have enough working capital. The standards.
But Mr. Damania, fact is that no airline in India.
Mr.
Damania, no airline in India makes a profit, runs on a profit. Yet the safety concerns that have arisen all of this year have been for Spicejet primarily. Sometimes you have a tire burst, sometimes the windshield cracks.
I agree with you.
This is the second time their cabin has been filled with smoke.
This is very dangerous, and it must have been extremely traumatic for the passengers. And another thing, this is what has happened is public knowledge. Why would they force somebody or deliberately force somebody to delete the videos? I do not understand. And immediately to the consumer, to the passengers, an apology should come forward. They should admit their mistakes and apologize profusely. That is the least they can do. So I think we cannot say anything in defense of Spicejet. What I'm 100% sure, there will be a very serious inquiry by the DGCA.
What exactly is wrong with Spicejet? I'm going to ask you what's exactly wrong with Spicejet in just a bit. But I just want to take the thread of my conversation to Dilip Cherian and to Ajay as well. Dilip Cherian, why would a brand do this to themselves? Not one, not two, not three, 13. And something goes wrong in a plane, something goes wrong in a flight, and look at how you react to it. Look at how Spicejet's crew has reacted to it. Pray. People are asked to pray for their safety. They're paying a safety cess. This may be a low-cost airline, but tickets are not exactly cheap. Go ahead.
Shreya, this brand is now damaged goods. There is no escape from that. In fact, as the passenger said, and as you said, and several others have hinted at, and Priyanka mentioned it, because of that, they are also trying to sell tickets at a lower price to attract people who perhaps don't get the entire impact and the dangers that they are stepping into when they fly this airline. The central theme of any image for any airline is safety. After that comes timeliness. If safety is
Correct.
compromised, both passengers as well as staff are compromised, not just compromised once, but on a daily basis. But you see, the problem is not just this airline and its own aircraft. The kind of issues it has had on runways, dear hits, means that somebody else who's not to blame will also be, in a sense, a victim of the same problems that this airline is facing. Budget carriers doesn't mean that you can cut corners on safety. And I think this is high time that the ministry acted with complete and total consciousness that they're acting on behalf of the citizens of India.
Ajay, come in here. I mean, I wonder whether you've had an opportunity to fly Spicejet recently. There have been multiple safety concerns. We've had a passenger who was on board that ill-fated flight, whose cabin was filled with smoke. He's narrated his entire experience and just how horrifying. Not just the fact that your cabin was filled with smoke, not just the fact that an air hostess who's supposed to, calm your nerves is telling you bend, duck, pray for your safety, run as fast as you can, jump, etc. I mean, what do you make of this? I don't even know what to ask you because the details that Srikanth has shared with us are fairly mortifying.
Well, Shreya, first and foremost, I think my last Spicejet flight was, I think, back in March. And again, I think we see pictures every day of how the cabins are not being maintained, how the aircraft are practically, coming apart, to use that term. And I think the panelists before me have already talked about the fact that, about the brand and about how they're not able to keep up with the equipment that they operate. So all the equipment that when I say equipment, I mean aircraft that they took over from Jet Airways and some of the other aircraft, they're all in pretty bad shape. I think the only good aircraft they have left at this point of time, which are the few 737 MAX aircraft that they managed to deduct. That's number one. Coming to why is this happening? Obviously, the airline does not have the money. Excuse me. The airline does not have the money at this point of time. It has been stuck in a lot of court cases. If you've been tracking them for a while, with a lot of people have sued them, lessors have, and so on, to recover money from them. So I think with the compensation they received from Boeing, this is and the money that they received, I think in the emergency guarantees, credit guarantee scheme of the government, they managed to clear out some of that money. But obviously, no money. I'm not saying that they're not maintaining their planes, but yeah, they're not doing enough. Aircraft are flying without armrests, so on. A lot of things are going wrong. Coming to what the cabin crew did, I think the cabin crew did exactly the things that they're supposed to do. The cabin crew are primarily there for your safety on an aircraft. They're not there to serve you sandwiches or water. And I think in this case, the cabin crew, from what I have seen and heard, they've done a very professional job. Obviously, they're supposed to tell you to, prepare for a hard landing or an eviction or what have you. And there's a whole book, and these are things that they internalize, before they even get on their first flights. So instincts kick in. Yeah, I think the passenger caught on to the word pray, but hey, everyone would be praying in a situation like this, including the cabin attendant who told him.
Yeah.
So I don't fault her for that. In a situation like this, honestly, aviation has a mantra where the pilots are focusing on getting the plane on the ground. So they will not be talking to the cabin. They will be focusing on the cockpit. And hence, you did not get more information about this from them. So even the crew does not know enough.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. I think you're making fair points there to say that this was instinct that had kicked in. And what was unfortunate, of course, was passengers were forcibly asked to delete their videos, which I think was fairly unprofessional. Parvez Damania, I'm going to come to you here last. Is Spicejet fixable? Because what Mr. Courier is saying is simply this: this is damaged goods. Its reputation in the last 1 year has taken such a beating. I even wonder who are the people who are buying tickets to fly Spicejet.
No, first and foremost, I'll tell you something. It is not that Spicejet tickets are ridiculously low and that's why people are flying. Sometimes the connection to certain cities is only available on a certain airline, or certain time is only suitable on that particular airline, so people will keep flying. I think if enough funding was done and enough polishing back of the airline done, it can be retrieved. At this stage, India cannot afford an airline failing. That doesn't mean airlines have to cut safety standards. But we need all the airlines. We need, because the market is growing very fast. Demand is there. Recently, I read that Spicejet and INDIGO are planning to lease wet lease aircraft for the winter season. I do not know how wet lease aircrafts will make financial sense, but anyway, the very fact that they're looking at leasing wet lease aircraft for India, that means the market is growing that fast. And they think even wet lease aircraft will make financial sense. So I think sales are good enough. Market is growing. There are enough passengers. I think what is hurting Spicejet is the backlog of the losses that they suffered before. So I think if there's enough funding done or certain discernibles of the equity is done, this airline can be retrieved. The service standards are good. The crew are good.
Okay.
But ultimately, enough funding has to be done, or certain aircrafts have to be grounded, only fly certain aircraft which are in absolute top condition. The quality control department of the airline has to shape up. The engineering departments to shape up. And I'm sure DGCA is doing everything in their power to see that the standards are maintained.
Okay, 50% of their 50% of their planes in any case are grounded. Dilip Cherian, I have 20 seconds. I want to come to this. I'm coming back to the question I started with. The fact is that we have a aviation regulator called DGCA. We have the Civil Aviation Ministry. Now, Priyanka Chaturvedi says this is a deliberate looking away. After Spicejet came under a cloud, there was so much trouble, they were put under increased surveillance. In fact, there was a spot check of all their planes as well. And yet again, you have an incident happening where passenger safety
and everything was found to be okay at that stage.
Yeah, the simple answer is that it's a combination of what Mr. Damania said and what Priyanka said. There is imminent danger, and we need to recognize that. The government, on the other hand, recognizes that we need capacity, and we cannot just suddenly shut down an airline, because once again, passengers will be hurt. Passenger safety has to come well above higher fares and maybe non-availability of certain sectors. Some people will hurt, but it's better that they be hurting rather than they be in any danger. So as everybody can figure out, Spicejet needs urgent management rehaul before it can actually be allowed to continue on its path.
Dilip Cherian, always good to have you on the show. Thank you very much, Mr. Damania. Thank you very much. And Ajay, good to have you on the show as well. Serious questions being raised, not just about Spicejet, but about what DGCA is doing after what has happened with Spicejet yesterday.